Last time in Science 9, we talked about asexual reproduction, so today we are going to be talking about sexual reproduction. So we're learning how organisms reproduce with each other and why so many organisms use this strategy. We're doing this so we can explain how sexual reproduction ends up creating the variation and biodiversity we've been talking about. So if you remember, the big downside with asexual reproduction was that it produces exact copies. It doesn't create variation. Everyone's identical. So if you have one individual that's susceptible to a disease in an asexually reproducing population, probably pretty much everyone's going to be susceptible. However, sexual reproduction is the strategy that counters this. Sexually reproducing organisms have the disadvantage of it's more complicated because you need to find a mate, and it takes much longer to produce organisms because they aren't exact copies. But that is a trade-off for the ability to create variation in populations. And actually, that variation is so useful and so important that the vast majority of organisms on the planet use sexual reproduction instead of asexual reproduction. That kind of tells you just how important it actually is. It increases the variability in the population, and that helps the species overall survive. So you can actually see sexual reproduction in a lot of different organisms. We'll talk about plants and animals in other videos, but bacteria are actually able to sexually reproduce too. They can do this thing called conjugation. And what actually happens is that in this case, the two bacteria will merge together. They will share their DNA and shuffle it and then split back apart. That creates new variations. It ensures that the two new bacteria are actually not identical to each other. And then when they go back to doing their regular asexual reproduction thing, they are no longer clones of each other. So when they asexually reproduce, they will produce individuals that are different. So that is one way that bacteria try and increase the variation within their populations.